planted.
What's good, everybody? We're here with another SpikeTalk episode 3. I'm Babybay. I'm here with FrosT, ya boy. And we're going to get right into it like usual. You know, let's get it again. Starting off with Americas. There was a lot of weird matches this Super Week, man. It's been crazy. It's been absolutely crazy. I kind of want to run through some of like the matches that were like, whatever. Like G2 FURIA. Maybe the first time we saw Icy have like a pretty good performance on Raze specifically. I feel like it might be like one of his first games on Raze where he like did really well, but it's against FURIA, so there's not a lot of stock that we can put into it. Let's just skip past that.
That's exactly the point. Right?
It is what it is.
Yeah. You're not having.
We had earlier in the week, we had Crew versus EG, and that was also kind of a stomping. EG kind of did a little bit of good stuff on Breeze. They made it very competitive, but at the end of the day, Crew ended up just closing it out. Like it looked for a second like EG was going to make that comeback. They won 5 in a row in their defense, but they just put themselves in too much of a hole to bring that back. And obviously, everybody knows the next match that EG plays. Let's do EG Sen, bro. It's a crazy game, bro.
Right. This series. So man, there's so much to unpack here. I'll just say that we're blown by both sides shows that this was obviously a very sloppy series, and it came down to a lot of hero plays. I'm sure there's some anti-stratting involved, which we'll discuss later. But at the end of the day, you go up 9-3 on Lotus. It's kind of hard. 3 bomb side map, sure. But still, it's kind of hard to blow 9-3 leads. I know, we joke about the 9-3 first, but that really is that's not actually supposed to happen. And it doesn't happen with high frequency either, right? Like if you check the stats and the numbers, you're still at like a 29% win rate if you're down like 3-9. It's not like, so it's not like it happens. And then obviously going down 10-2 and then being able to come back. Great. I mean, I think it says a lot about EG's fight, and it says a lot about their heart. But at the end of the day, you're still going down 10-2 on Bind. You're not really supposed to be able to come back. That map doesn't really have like a crazy strong side. They're both like kind of even. Would you agree with that? That the map is kind of like even attack and defense.
I think it's pretty balanced. It's like it could be 50-50, and if it's not, it's maybe like a 55-45 on maybe like attack better at like Zekking now with certain things, but
so it's not like an Inferno on CS where like, don't worry, bro, we go on CT, we can make the same run. It's kind of So I'll just say that I think the blown leads showed that it wasn't high level Valorant. It was just highly skilled Valorant, if that makes sense, because the players went toe to toe, skill for skill. It wasn't tactical proficiency on both sides isn't what was happening, right? It was just good grades, good fights, solid decision making, and it was just a brawl. That's also why I think it was so entertaining. It's probably my favorite game in any region this year.
Yeah, it was sick. It was the back and forth, and the fact that both teams were able to string comebacks and win like after they were down so much is so rare to see. And then to have that last map just actually be a complete brawl, like you said, where it's like it was very close to the very end.
It was back and forth. Yeah,
a clear win. Yeah, it was like back and forth. Like that team gets 2 rounds, team gets 2 rounds. It was crazy.
Yeah,
but
I'm
happy that it was sick. I'm happy that finally Jogamo decided to like just wake up and play like the fucking GOAT that we know he can be. Because man, this guy in his last couple of matches, I don't know if he was just checked out or like maybe he was just going through like one of the worst slumps of all time. But this guy was getting, I swear, on maps like less than 10 kills consistently in his last like, I don't know, man, like 3 matches it feels like. So it was finally nice to see the boy pop off again. I love watching him play. I love the way that he plays because it is entertaining when he pops off, dude. Like you cannot deny the fact that Jogamo is an entertaining Raze to watch, bro. He's sick.
He's one of. I mean, Jing is probably the best, right? But he's certainly like top.
Yeah, he's up there with
the world for sure.
Like him, Zekking, and Jing.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking, by the way. So It's good. Yeah. He turned into Superman. I think if EG wants to make playoffs, and I think they need a lot of help now. But it's certainly now a possibility. They would have had 0% chance if they lost this. I think if they're going to do well in playoffs, it has to be Jogemo, being a factor in the games. And I would obviously agree with you that his inability to, get open and get kills, could be the team's fault. It could be a support issue. It could be other things. But at the end of the day, if he's not able to have an impact in a series, I'm not sure they're going to win all that much. So it's good that he is alive and he played well in this series. And obviously, this is considered the best team in North America. So for him to do it against them should give him a ton more confidence. I don't think he lacked confidence or needed to fix a confidence issue, but it should give his team confidence that if they can support him, with everything they have a guy that can take over a game or a series, and I think should serve them well, to be honest.
Yeah, and I hope they do bring it back and do another miracle run just for the storyline, because it would just be great for the game of Valorant in general. And also, that's my boy Superman on that team. I'll always have his back no matter what, even if he's on a team that has 0 wins. Thank God they didn't go winless though. And like you said, the fact that they were able to take out the best team in America, which I kind of want to get into that as well. Just segue into that. Like, what does this mean for Sentinels, bro? Because they've been so consistent all year long, even in the off season, Madrid, everything. But now they lost to Lev, now EG. Like, what do you think is going on right now, or do you think it's okay? Is it maybe just maybe they just need to make some adaptations on their game plans and put a little bit more now because teams are getting used to how they play, or do you think it's not that deep?
No, it's very deep, but it's I say this respectfully, but you can tell that they're not really ready for people to anti-strat them as heavy. And we experienced this in Pacific because, bro, coaches and interviews are talking about copying our stuff. Owners are like talking about how good our stuff is. You got other players talking about it in their interviews. So we have been struggling, like, especially GE, that GE match was all anti-strats. And when players, and this as a player, when people know all your sets, or like example, Opper, if they know if I push you off this first angle with this flash, let's say it's Haven C, right? Mm-hmm. They throw us, I throw a sky flash long, you're on top of the box on Jet, right? Boom.
Yeah.
What's your second angle? If your preferred angle is right side default, or what would be, my left side default, which is the attacker, right? So I'm looking from that POV. Or do you go logs and stand high, right? Or do you go lower, by the box, right? What's your second angle? Well, if I know your second angle, I just throw a flash to counter your second angle. Now my Jet is in, and now you have to basically gamble 50-50 no matter where you look, and you have to kill a guy with an AK, and you get one shot. That is hard. You know that better than anybody. It's
It's tough.
Right?
It's tough, bro.
Right. So you could tell Sentinel players are having, now they don't have a true dedicated opper like this per se, but you get my point. It's like now everyone is studying Sentinels. As a matter of fact, I can tell you this very confidently. In Pacific, I'm seeing a lot of Sentinel defaults in Pacific and screens, right? And the Gen.G had the same problem, right? But like Gen.G's 3-2 here. Why? Everyone is copying Gen.G now. It's the same thing that happened last year with FNATIC. Remember, FNATIC went on and won the first event, and then you saw a slight dip in performance. They didn't even win the league last year. I believe it was Liquid that won the league, right? So
I don't remember.
This is
somebody else.
Growing pains. Yeah. Yep. No, it was Liquid. So this is growing pains for that team. Look, they won a major. Congratulations. They deserved it, obviously. But then now they have the most tape. And I dealt with this my whole career at 100 Thieves. I even dealt with this on flip side because everybody knew back then that like at majors, we only showed up for majors. So they would study us for majors to make it hard. They were like, this team, So I think they're just experiencing now what it's like to be under the spotlight, that their first, their second, and largely their third options are being taken away now, which is ultimately what I assume Potter was doing with the EG boys, which is why they were so confident in taking as many fights, because they kind of knew sort of like, what the reaction might be based on previous data. And Sentinels is always playing from the back foot because they haven't evolved. They haven't like completely changed. Because if you look at some of their defaults, like on Lotus, you can tell a lot of the gameplay mirrored some matches they had even in Madrid.
Yeah.
And obviously, travel. They don't have a lot of time to go to the lab. As soon as they get back, they get less than a week off, immediately start the season. You don't have a lot of time to like tinker with your system unless you've already like, have experience doing it. So this is something Kaplan and the guys are going to have to figure out. But if they want to win Worlds, they better figure this out fast. Because if you don't know, deal with the sort of anti-stratting, you get to Worlds, you're cooked.
I agree. And Potter's no slouch when it comes to anti-stratting either. So like I definitely believe that she instilled that into them, especially with the Lotus that they played against Lev like a couple weeks prior. I mean, they went fucking it was 17-19, bro. There's so much footage on how they played. It's actually kind of crazy that they're able to come back from that 9-3. And I mean, to be fair though, they should have won this on bind, bro. They should have won the series on bind. They trolled.
100%, bro. That comeback was obviously great on Lotus, but I think that comeback is more EG's trolling than anything else. If you watch the tape, they made a ton of mistakes, especially rotation. Like their rotations were bad. But bro, you have them 10-2. Dude, Sentinels is pissed. Like, bro, this should have been a 2-0.
Definitely.
Trust me. I've struggled with that too with my team. It's like, dude, we keep blowing leads. It's like, bro, what are we doing, bro? Like, especially when you're up 10-2. Let's talk the base on 10-3. Bro, if I'm with, let's say we're back on phase, any of your old teams, 10-2. Let's say you're IGLing. I know you weren't at the time, but let's say you're IGLing. My number one thing would have been like, yo, you got like at least 6 rounds to gamble. Straight up. So 4-1 everything. 4-1 everything. Play retake on the strongest side that you. That's it. 4-1 everything. Like, why? It's basically a CS tactic. Like when you're up by that much in CS, you basically gamble more on defense because it's actually safer. If you have a strong retake side, you play for the retake side that you're strong at. And you basically say, all right, guys, good luck. Don't make any noise. Don't use any util. Keep everything for post or like for the retake. You let them waste all their shit so they have nothing for post. Like, it's the simplest way. When you generate that big of a lead, it is the easiest way to play. Sure, you can give up a lot of easy rounds because you're giving up too much space. Sure, there's like counters to everything. But in general, that is the safest way to play a 10-2 lead, but you have to be good on retakes. The unfortunate part was the retakes kind of let them down, and it was just unlucky. I mean, they didn't 4-1 gamble every round either, but like, this is what I would have told you, because especially if you're playing, anti-stratters or people that like, are very good or prepared against sets, they have to guess right because you're not a 4-1 team, right? So if you're not a 4-1 team that they can prep for, and all of a sudden it's a 50-50, which bomb site they're going to go to, you don't make any noise. You don't do anything. Right? Like, this is it. They have to guess right how many times in a row. Exactly. And it's just unlucky.
It's so weird. Like, we talked about that with the Liquid match too. It's like the same exact scenario almost. It's like, bro, like if you literally just, honestly, you're right. The highest percentage way to win is by stacking, like the highest probability. If you're talking like odds and stuff like that, it actually is to just randomly stack. You have a higher chance of just winning. And at the very least, when you're up that big, string your ults together and just use all your ults to win a couple rounds, bro. Like that's not hard
economy. Yes, bro.
Right? Like that's what the ults are there for, bro. They win you rounds without you having to actually shoot people in the fucking head, right? So yeah,
teams are so bad with both util and ults. It drives me insane. There's obviously some teams that are really good with this, but for the most part, I think I'd say at least right. But 5 teams in every league are just trash at this. It's actually crazy how bad some teams are. We played one this week, T1, or last week, T1. The level difference between ult usage and utility usage between us was it was like, we're not even playing the same game. You know what I mean? And I feel like Sentinels definitely could have helped themselves by just stacking ults, just waiting. Say, all right, guys, you won these rounds. Okay, we got 5 ults. We're going to burn 2 this round. We're going to do this. We're going to burn 2 next round. You're just unlucky, bro. Unlucky.
It's crazy. The next
But amazing
team that I
series
want to
nonetheless.
talk
And it was
about.
great.
Yeah, it was crazy.
No,
It
an
was
amazing series to watch. It was so phenomenal. It was like watching a boxing match.
Dude, it was fun. It was definitely fun.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Especially with like some of the shots the players were hitting individually too. It was crazy. Jogamo going nuts, finally pushing spawn again and doing crazy shit. Like, yeah, I love watching that kid play.
Oh, he's
so
good.
let's segue into Cloud9 now. So earlier they actually had to play Saturday and then they played Monday. So on Saturday they played Loud and they won 2-1. And something very interesting to me that I wanted to touch on was that Loud changed their comps on some of the maps that they played. Right? Like on Bind, instead of running that Phoenix, they ran Arrays now. And
right.
I have mixed feel, like they won the map 13-11, but like low key, man, I don't know. Quick seems to be struggling on this roster. It almost kind of reminds me of like an Icy who doesn't have experience with the way that he fits. It's like he's trying to like be a role player in a role that requires you to be a star, in my opinion. Like I don't think what duelist on a team isn't a star when their team is winning, you know? Like it's weird because when he's playing on Loud and Loud is winning, he's not really the one that's the most impactful player in the world, you know? So it's very weird to me, and it kind of got exposed. I feel like Oxy he's been on a heater for a while, and when you play against a team that has a star duelist like that, and he's just actively diffing your duelist, I mean, it's evident in the server. You got to point it out.
Yeah, I'll say this though. So my experience with Quick on FURIA, he's highly skilled. As a matter of fact,
yeah, he's crazy.
I recently got some criticism because I said that team gaps the team even I have now, and everybody got buttered about it. But the thing is, I've actually told this to my guys because you know me, like I'll never say something like that without having like like I would have said something for me to feel confident to say this publicly. I obviously would have had to tell them. And I have so much respect for Quick because, he learns so quickly. But people forget he played duelist before. Like on FURIA, he had to transition into a Sentinel, and he did a great job. Funny though, I'm gonna seem like a homer, but I'll give you a slight argument why I think this is more a tactical thing than it is a Quick thing. Mm-hmm. Last year, I'm sure wherever icebox went, Galkazine was with him, right? Mm. Look at that bind. KO, Brim is the one next to Raze way more than KO because they're using KO's dagger as info on the other side, flashes sometimes for fakes or to like allow the lurk to come up or whatever. And this wasn't like an every time thing, but it's just like, think about that. If you're Raze and I'm KO, normally I'm with you.
Yeah.
Sadak knows this. He doesn't want it to be obvious, but if you notice, like it's going to be harder for your entry if you're not obviously util dumping the enemy and blah 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 blah. And a lot of their defaults were flat defaults where you see Quick basically like take one-on-ones. You know what I'm saying? Like on defense they were together a fair bit for sure, but they're getting shower crunched when that happens. Unlucky, right? The moment, right? So it's like I feel bad because I understand that because Ospas is gone, Quick is going to get most of the hate. But I think what I'm trying to, explain is he also doesn't have the same support because the system isn't the same. They realized with Ospas, let's just have 2 people with Ospas at every time, including Galkazine, like on their split, for instance. It was always Galkazine +1, right? You had Sadak on the opposite side, right? And basically, like, that's what their system was. Well, now on this team, system is different. So Raze has a lot of independent responsibility. And I think that's also really hard. So
It is.
he might be getting exposed, but I don't think it's like a skill thing. In my opinion, it's just a tactical thing.
It's the way he's being
right?
set up, or not being set up, I should say. Yeah, I
and
think
I'm
I
not
can
even
agree with
gonna
that.
blame
Especially with a comp like this.
and yeah, like I understand what he's doing. The team is different. He needs to come up with a different system, and he needs to like be more creative about like sets and fakes and takes. Sometimes it's unlucky that your Raze goes hookah and then it just dies, and your brim is there like, oh fuck, and then it's like, oh
Yeah.
well, now we're 4v5. We got to gather. It's tough, and yeah, I mean, surely he's not at the level of icebox as a duelist. This is also not what I'm trying to say. But I won't say that independently, if you sub in, because you brought up Icy, if you bring in a DG Zin, for instance, I don't think it makes Loud better. I think it makes Loud
Yeah.
better. I think it would make Loud worse because Quick is also incredibly intelligent as a player. And this is, I think, why the system is the way that it is with Loud, because it looks like they want map control and to be able to counter and take advantage of map control. The problem is they're not taking the map control because they're dying in duels. So it's like unlucky. So I understand what he's going for, but yeah, I was surprised by the Cloud9 loss. As a matter of fact, Vanity was surprised because he was crying about it. Remember? He was so proud of himself. Obviously, congratulations. I mean, he beat, world champions on this team.
Some really great teams. Oh, yeah.
Right. But like no one thought they would beat Loud. Not even Cloud9 thought they would beat Loud. And you could tell by the response afterwards. And yeah, it was just a well-played game and executed Cloud9. And it was, unfortunately not a good one for Loud. And it looked really bad that both teams that came and represented America in Madrid look like they're getting exposed. But I just think that's how competitive the league is that
super competitive.
Everyone is studying the two teams that went to Madrid because they had the most games. So yeah. I actually credit Sadak comps because we're doing this at Talon. We pretty much have like 2 comps on every map. And week to week, we're changing a comp on a map. Opponents are either going to play or we're going to play, or, it's going to be in the pool. Like, so I think he's ahead of the curve on that front, but it also comes with a lot of risk, so it's tough.
Map 2. So we spoke about Bind already, and Loud actually won that map. I think that C9 could have actually won that as well. But this is Icebox now. This is Loud's map, like bread and butter, like Jet, Harbor, Viper, like the same comp they've always been running, but they got absolutely steamrolled. And I think that it's kind of what you were talking about, how there's so many eyes on them for all these years. And like Icebox is a map that they probably didn't even really heavily focus on. They didn't change their comp. They didn't do anything. They're like, we're so good at it. Maybe we don't need any new things on it. And I think that that's why we saw this 13-4 happen from the side of Cloud9. I feel like Cloud9 did a really good job preparing against it. Zeppa was doing some really cool things with Sage that I liked. And I also think that like Loud was cooking a little too hard with these pistol rounds. Like on Icebox, they had the pistol where they did like a mid to B, but they like split through like actual market, like trying to go spawn with the harbor wall. And like, dude, the reaction from Zeppa was so clean, bro. And Rooney. So Rooney was actually holding that at like that kitchen area. I don't know why I call it market. He was holding that kitchen area, and he actually drops down, and he drops down below that little platform, right? That's right outside of kitchen.
Yeah. We're right in the window.
So he doesn't have to worry about his back because the harbor wall is covering his back. And then Zeppa from A site he walls off the mid to A. So it's like a crossfire that they made a crossfire based off of it, like just reactionary, based off of what Loud was doing. And that split second decision was so insane to watch. Like I was really impressed with C9 for being able to even like do stuff like that. It was so dope. But yeah, they got rolled. What do you think about that?
Well, they got rolled on defense. Same thing happened to us. I think we are a good Icebox team, but we played GE and they anti-stratted the shit out of us and we got destroyed. It's the problem with Icebox. It's like, it's very linear in this way. if you don't want to just
Yeah.
take aim duels, right?
Nobody likes
Like,
it.
the
Nobody likes
tactics
it.
are very linear. So if you know what the defensive positions are as the attacker, it's like it gives you such a crazy advantage. It's unfortunate that their defense got stomped so bad because then they didn't have a lot of rounds to play with on attack. But I thought it was just a better job by Vanity and Co. of understanding sort of like where their positions are, you know, what they want to do, basically where the gaps are, and just attacking those gaps specifically.
Yeah.
And then Cloud9 on defense were surprisingly strong. I did not pay attention to the play you made, so I'm going to have to go back and watch that. But I'm not surprised by you saying Zeppa played it well because, you know, I have a ton of respect for Zeppa. So I think he's so good. And I am, you know, hearing his name, I am not surprised that he came up with this stuff to fly. What I will say about Loud, though, on their attack, you could tell they're missing a lot, not having ospas. So there's a play that even we stole at Talon. It's called ospas. It's basically like, you used to do this a lot too, actually. But with all due respect, not to the same effect. You know the jet mid to B, where you basically like up grab dash up to the thing and somebody goes under at the same time. You know what I'm talking about? Like up Aspas, basically like that was a 100%er for them because you have to deal with Aspas. First off, you had to win an aim duel with Aspas, which is always going to be hard. First, you have to win the right side. And if he doesn't want to fight you the right side, it's okay because he can basically like hug the wall, go left side, and somebody else is going under to watch for him, right? That was like a 100%er. Not the case with Quick, and it's not Quick. It's just that's just how good Aspas is. So you could tell that like they don't even have like the bread and butter plays that would give them like that. To me was a loud
more rounds,
bread and butter play. When they needed a round, that's the thing they called because that position, you know, on defense on icebox, that's a hard angle and a hard position to hit. That shit is so crazy. And when you got a guy like that, you don't even want to take that fight. And if you give up that control, because what's so dangerous about top tube is that it basically stops the A rotators early. So you can't rotate through your spawn now because you can just get killed for free. So you have to push boiler, which means you're going into angles that favor the attackers, right? Because they can get there more quickly. Or you have to push and flank, which again delays the help side defense because the B guys basically have to wait for these guys to walk push because you can't just run because then, you know, a Killjoy or any lurk is just going to be dialed in free. So why that play was so effective for Loud last year is simply because Aspas basically think of it this way. If the defense has basically from tube all the way there, Aspas took like a third of the map because he took their spawn away from them. So the only thing they have is A, backside, B, ice, snowman. But the whole middle of that thing is gone if you don't have a defender there. Like already in kitchen or like tube or something, right? So they can't do that with this team. They don't have the same level of effect. And this is not like, oh, Quick sucks, he can't do it. It's just, it's not the same when it's not Aspas. And I think I'm beginning to see that like they have to be different, but that doesn't necessarily mean that being different right now is better. And it's just like, you know, and Cloud9 took advantage of it. And, you know, that was what, a 13-4 win or something, right?
Yeah, it was
free.
It was like,
it was free. Yeah. So 13-4. Yeah, it was free. And it happened to us too, right? GE beat us the same way, which is basically like, well, it was a good map. All of a sudden, our defense is basically wet tissue paper, and we were just like, so I'm not even talking. I'm just saying this is just what happens when your defense.
It is what it is, bro.
Caught like this. Yeah, unlucky, bro.
And then last map, we don't gotta dive too deep into it because I think C9 just had a really, really good defensive side, which is like kind of rare on a map like Lotus. I know like we talk a lot about how like it's definitely attacker sided, but they played the defense really great. But I also think that, you know, we saw something crazy. We saw a deadlock,
right? Yeah.
You know, we saw the deadlock and like to be fair, he was playing good on it, but I don't think it was because of the utility. I mean, I like some of the ideas. I actually casted this game, so like I did like hype up some of the ideas that he had, and they made sense. Like he's always going to do things that theoretically make sense. But the problem is just once it got to the attacking side, there's just not much that the Deadlock could accomplish, and they were getting actually punished a lot, trying to take C control and stuff like that. That I just noticed. I was like, man, this is just not it. I don't know if we'll ever see him play the Deadlock on this map again. I'm hoping not, because I think that if they didn't, they would have had a better chance of winning if there was just a normal Killjoy or something like that.
Yes,
but even the way that they were moving around the map, I wasn't a big fan of either. And I think that's because he was IGLing on a Deadlock. I think it's just so out of the norm.
Yeah, Sentinel IGLing is very hard. And it's something I don't like to do. But I had to for a little bit on 100 Thieves. Another thing is, I don't know. So I don't know if this is like a comp thing or if it's just they started on defense thing. Because on 100 Thieves, I don't know if you know this, we went First Strike doing that, where we TSM I think picked split, and we had an attack side comp where we put Hiko on Raze, right? So it's like if you start defense or attack, we had like a different idea as to like how to stack it, right? So you can win the most rounds in the first half. I wonder if this was that, because I was surprised by the Deadlock pick. On defense, Deadlock is actually really strong, especially on maps like Ascent. I wouldn't have thought it was good here, but I'll also be honest with you. I haven't studied this map either, so I actually don't know how good the impact. Like, I don't know where the breakdowns happen, right? Because, I haven't studied it, so I can't say. But what I'm curious about is whether or not this was a reaction to them getting defense first and knowing that Deadlock on defense is so much better than Deadlock on attack, or if this is actually their comp and they've practiced this. Because I think it means something else, right? If they practice this, this was not a great showing. If it's more like, hey, look, off map, we can throw a wrinkle here and it doesn't work out. Okay, I respect it. I get it. But I'm not sure.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Killjoy is just better in general. I think it's probably likely it's what you said. Like, in general, the theme of the team is trying to be different. How can we be different? And I think they're still in the process of trying to figure it out. I really liked what they cooked up with that Phoenix comp, but they also had like an entire off season to cook up with that. And what scares me is that they're already shying away from it after only playing one tournament. So I'm like, all right, you guys spent this entire off season cooking up these cool comps, but you already ran out of your playbook for them. So like, I don't know. It's like you're putting yourself in a tough spot, because if you can't go back and play a normal, fundamentally sound comp like you used to be able to, that's a big problem in itself.
I'm so glad you said that. Yes, this is a thing that most people overlook. At Talon, we did it differently. I did meta comps and strong comps to teach them that. Then we started doing the pocket picks, like the stuff that we did this week against T1, right? Like, Sadak looked like he did it backwards. And, I wonder if that's also a thing, because to me it's much easier to develop a system and an identity around the safer comps than it is to basically do it the way you had talked about. And I think that's something that people don't discuss enough. That the reason the meta comps are the meta comps is because it's so easy to plug and play. The problem is breaking away from that changes a lot, and you have to there's a lot of thought that has to go into it. And if you don't have a game plan prepared well enough, or you don't have a real idea of how to do this, then you can look like potentially what I thought, which is they just picked Deadlock because they were on defense. This is not a great map for them, and then all of a sudden they get pooped on. And that's why that stuff happened. Not really drilled on it. I would be shocked if they are really drilled on this comp and they look the way that they look, because Oxy just had fun out there. And I'm surprised by that, because if you play Cloud9, it should be stop Oxy, you deal with Zeppa. Right? They did not look like they stopped his entry at all. Oh, sure, Deadlock wall. Yeah, okay, we'll just go the other way. Oh, sure, we'll cheat off it. Yeah, sure, you don't have a Killjoy, though. You don't have Mollies to stop me. You only have Viper. Good luck. I'm out. Right? Because we're racing it through Viper because she can just go around. With the satchel. So it's just, I don't know, but I would hope that this was just an experimental pick that they used because they got defense on the side, which I've done before, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I hope so too. As we're speaking, they're actually playing against Crew. The game's still live. They lost the first map. Obviously, I wasn't watching it, but it was split, and they lost 13-8. And they just couldn't do anything on their defensive side. So I think what we're talking about, how they're kind of getting hard countered a lot of these times. I'm just gonna assume that that's what happened on their defensive side on this split. I didn't keep in mind. Me and you are doing this. We're doing this show right now, SpikeTalk. So we didn't watch the pod, but
they don't have a sense
that when we go watch back, we're gonna see this exactly happen. Yeah.
The reason why they're struggling is they don't have a Sentinel, and Viper Omen as anchors is good, but Breach is the glue guy. So there has to be some disconnect between the Breach play. Yeah, but playing good and getting kills are different, right?
It's different.
Yeah, Breach's job is so different. But that sucks. I mean, it sucks because I'm such big fans of.
I love that team. I love that team.
They're just struggling.
I like the way they play the game. I like the way they play the game in general. Like, it's a good way.
Yeah. I mean, Crew picking up Heat is just crazy because now Kesnet has another guy, and this is something that we haven't really talked about too much. But Heat, bro, when I was on 100 Thieves, I wanted him on an academy team because I knew he was like crazy.
He's nuts.
The knock on him has always been attitude and mental, similar to DG Zin, right? And it's why he's had like difficult stops. But I think when you're a team that basically went Oberger last year, like obviously they prioritize talent. And if they know that he's a hothead, basically, they're going to do everything they can to like, yeah, bro, what do you want to do? So I'm sure because they were, and I think it's nice because now they got another Kesnet with the Kesnet. And even though he's not playing like duelist, he's basically the number 2. So your 1-2 punch is Kesnet, and then Heat gets all the trades.
Yeah. And then you have Shy as the anchor, Melzer.
Yeah.
And Melzer's been stepping up for them too. Klaus has been IGLing, and he does a pretty good job. What I like about
Shy has been doing well. Yeah, I'm still surprised Leviatán gave up Shy. I don't know what happened. I thought last year his Sentinel.
I don't know.
Solid. I don't know what happened with the inner workings there, but I thought that was crazy.
So from my understanding, I think they wanted to have a mixed roster. The plan was to always have a mixed roster this year. I think that's the main reason why. And I also think that's why. Who else was on?
Split up Shine King though.
Who else was on Lev at the time?
King was it Shy? Tacolilla.
No. In the off season, the other player that they had that got dropped for Com was it NZR?
Oh, NZR, yeah. Nazar.
Even NZR was good on that team in the off season, bro. They look crazy, and I thought him and Osbos had a really good thing going on too. But
me too.
So from my understanding is they wanted to have a mixed roster. It's their team; they can do with it as they please, right? But if Shy, if Shy was on that team,
I would have never gotten rid of Shy
crazy.
if I was on that.
That would be crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Yeah. I don't know. It is what it is. Shy King Osbos, like, bro. The only thing Leviatán missed last year, and it's no disrespect to Tacolilla, but Tacolilla is clearly notches below other duelists. If they would have inserted the best duelist on that roster, remember, everyone was scared of them last year until we beat the snot out of them on FURIA, and then everybody was like, wait a minute. But, like, you get rid of Tacolilla, you insert Osbos to that equation. That roster is wild.
It's
so it's just unlucky, but I'm obviously glad he's having success, and Crew obviously did a great job.
I think the cool thing about this Crew roster, and this will be the last thing we say about him, is just that I think that they're all happy with the team that they have. Like, I think that's the cool thing. I think that like he is happy that he has a team that accepts him and he has a fresh start on it. Shy is, I'm sure he's happy to be playing with his homies. You know what I mean? Like, because Shy definitely has some history with Kesnet and shit like that. So I think that the vibes on the team are probably at an all-time high. And I think that they just really enjoy playing with each other. And I think that's why we're going to see them do really well, especially with the mechanical power that he has now. Like, they actually have a chance now to make a run and be consistent. I think that's the biggest thing, is that they can be consistent now. And the way that Klaus calls, he doesn't call it intricate, complex style of strategy. It's very basic, but it works for their team because you don't need to do too much when you got Kesnet with Heat supporting him, and then Shy anchoring
you're one
site lurk.
Yeah.
Like, it's well rounded.
Right. Yeah.
I'm excited.
No,
now,
everything you said is correct.
Now going into a team that was actually able to shut down the monster that is Oxy, that a couple other teams like even Lev couldn't do, e.g. Loud couldn't do, was 100 Thieves, who actually looked crazy, bro. Like, the way that they beat C9 was insane. They just shit on him.
That was free.
They shit on him, bro.
Yeah.
And again, I can't
100%.
help but feel like it's this constant thing where it's like teams are getting anti-stratted. Even C9 got anti-stratted. I could see it in the way that 100 Thieves was playing, bro. And then once these teams get a lead and they run with it, you give confidence to a player like Cryo, Asuna. I mean, it honestly felt like everybody on the roster of C9 was just. I mean, everyone on the roster of 100 Thieves was just farming. But the craziest thing ever, I casted this match as well. There's a round in the first map on the attacking side where Boostio, his fucking mouse dies in the middle of the round, like during their default, their B-long default. His mouse dies. Yes. But he didn't show anything. He didn't show anywhere. Nobody knew where he was. C9 was so confused going into that retake about where Boostio was. Zeppa literally cleared all of B-long. He walked all the way down, like the latest flank of all time, because he was trying to clear Boostio there. But Boostio, he just actually he wasn't even in the fucking game. I mean, he was in the game, but he couldn't even play. So he just became a body bag for his team, and they ended up winning the round. And the moment that destroyed all of C9, and I'm gonna sit on this. I'm gonna die on this. Boostio gets up the moment they win that round and is pointing at all their team, the entire C9 roster. He's pointing at them, and you could read it on his lips. He's like, "You guys are shits." He's literally looking at them, pointing at them, saying, "You guys are shit." There's a huge pause followed by a timeout from C9. And I think C9 realized what had just happened. This guy's mouse literally died. And they lost the round. And I think after that moment, it was just done. I think they were just checked out. I think the players were too tilted. Oxy gave it his best shot on Ascent. But 100 Thieves just shut him down. And Cryo was really proactive in this series with the op, with even on Brim holding U-Haul. It was, man, it was a nice thing to watch if you're a 100 Thieves fan.
Yeah, it's probably the cleanest I think I've seen this team look since they formed it. It was a good win because this Cloud9 team had a lot of confidence coming out of their last match. So yeah, it was super well done. That round, yeah, I could definitely see how it messed with their mental at that point. Like, dude, we lost so much time on. Like, I can totally understand why that retake would probably like eat at them for a few rounds because. You would hope that they have the mental strong enough to withstand that. But yeah, I mean, certainly it can happen, especially because most of those players are still relatively young. It's not like you have like, OGs in there. So like, they're not going to be able to like, get people.
Yeah.
But yeah. I was surprised that Cloud9 can do what they did and then lose this game. But I think it just speaks to how competitive this league is. I mean, every league, I think now, is so much better than they were last year. Yeah. And I think this is why this can happen.
Yeah, it truly feels like we're at a point right now where, honestly, in every single region, apart from China, I don't know much about China right now. I know you like we talk, you know more about it than I do, but it does feel like you can make a case that, honestly, like almost every team can beat anybody. It just depends on 100%. How they show up on that day. If they're 100%.
That's why the playoff format shit is stupid, Babybay.
Yeah,
that's because the first stage is basically knockout, and then the other one becomes winners losers bracket. That's why that is just dumb. Because it's so competitive. The difference between first and second seed is not that much, bro. It's not.
Fuck. Goddamn. Now we gotta speak on Probably the biggest upset I ever seen. I mean, NRG and Lev. This was another game that was.
Yeah.
I mean, I never saw this one happening. This wasn't even close. 13-4, 13-4.
No.
And
Yeah.
again,
I
it
was
felt
surprised by
like I felt like Lev had a really good understanding of how NRG like to play these maps, especially Sunset. I feel like Sunset is a map where NRG, especially on their attack, they like to do a lot of contact, walking into space and stuff like that. But it felt like Lev was 2 steps ahead. They were either just holding for those contact walk-ins and actually getting the first kills, whether that be on Demon 1 or Victor working like extremities and stuff like that. But also they were proactive in the ways of like re-clearing space that NRG were actually using utility to take. And their timings on the re-clears of that space, especially on the defensive side, was like nearly perfect, bro. Lev was like, even on this map on Sunset, they were even just doing timing takes of mid, where it's like they would just look at their watch and they would be like, okay, it's been 30 seconds, like let's do a mid crunch now. And they would crunch from top mid and market and catch them off guard. They were like they just kept doing plays like that, just proactivity, re-clearing plays off of timing. So I think it was really well prepped. Maybe King just had a good sense of the maps and flow, because it felt like every spot they re-cleared, NRG members were there, even if there was no noise being made. I think that's what impressed me the most. And sometimes like that's RNG, bro. There's a little bit of RNG that comes to play with it, but sometimes you just get a flow state with the calling, and I think that's what King had in this series.
Yeah, I actually second everything you said. I think that to me the most surprising thing was that the most important players of the series were not the ones you would think. Like, in my opinion, on Bind, it was basically won by Breach, right? I thought his play was stellar. I'll also give Cypher credit on the second map, or Calm second map. I thought Calm Cypher was so good. I feel like it's not like fair to be like, yeah, one guy won it, blah, 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 blah. It's it's team victory and all that. But I was so surprised by how much value. Seemed like that Breach knew basically everything. His util was ready to help anyone, right? Like tiles crunching, he can stun, oh, sorry about that. Like, especially when NRG
was on,
would try to hit A, right? Breach was always in the perfect spot. Util was used perfectly, always set up someone for a kill. And then Calm on the other side, I thought just like had total map control, was good with util, knew exactly what was going on. Like, I was individually, I thought Leviatán, like, we all think it's just Aspas. It was good to see that, no. Aspas, yeah, sure, he played well. He did his job. But Aspas was not the reason why they won. I feel like 2 guys basically had bigger, like, footprints on both those maps. And I think that says a lot about Leviatán as a team. That it's not just the Aspas show. And this series showed that, in my opinion.
And that's a really good thing for them, because, I agree. I think even Tex on the Gecko, like, he looks really good on the Gecko role. Calm, he played that Cypher, like you said, like, he played it so well. He was getting so much info, even on the attacking side. Like, when he kills Demon 1 in their spawn, just the fact that he's holding for that, dude, like, you can't flank this guy, apparently, So, man, it's so many good things to look at. On the side of NRG, like, I texted Marv after they lost. I was like, yo, like, how you guys doing? How you guys feeling and stuff like that? He's like, honestly, man, like, it sometimes can feel better to lose in a stomp rather than it being a close game. Well, on the flip side, I was thinking, I was like, because I've had games where like the score hasn't been that close. Obviously, I've played a lot of matches in my career playing as a pro, right? And you too, I'm sure, and maybe more to come for you. Who knows? I hope not. Maybe I hope you're on the winning side of that. But sometimes when you lose like that, where it's 13-4, you can't actually identify if it was your strategy that was going wrong, or if it was like the fact that like your aim wasn't there. It can be very hard to identify what the actual true problem was, and it can be hard to identify if it is something important, like if it's your setups or your strats or the way that you like to move around the map. I think on Bind, the biggest problem I saw was they kept doing like on their attacking side, they kept doing like B long control, but they wouldn't actually truly deposit anybody there. And then Com would just like redog or reflash down long. And then they would already be leaning forward towards A. And for some reason, NRG would just actually speed up into the A. It was like the calling was just not, it just didn't feel like it was all there. It felt very like readable. It was like, we're gonna take control of this and then just go hit the other site. And then like just go right into an exec, you know, and I feel like Demon One was getting punished so hard on these entries. And I mean, I don't want to bite my words, but I don't feel like Demon One is a true entry player. I don't think he's a player that is
No,
he's gonna
not.
be
He's
double
like a yay.
in and
Slow.
right?
Yeah.
Like he usually takes his time with his
Yeah.
fights, or once you get control of the site and there's chaos happening, that's where he'll thrive. But yeah, something was disconnected with the team. Maybe the entire team just had an off day. Shit happens, you know. Like you can't win them all.
Right. Well, yeah. 'Cause
They
sometimes you
need to
can play
bounce
well and
back.
still lose. Yeah. I'll say this. So map one, obviously, Breach and Cypher to me were like especially the Breach was like super good, right? Map two, I thought
Right.
Sky was a big difference for Leviatán, which is interesting because she got nerfed and she's supposed to be bad, but like not having that B long info is really fucking hard. It's really hard. That's the limitation of Gecko, because the only thing he can do is basically throw the flash, right? Inside the base, basically, but like over the wall to see like if you can catch someone long. But the problem is you can timing that.
Yeah.
Leviatán being able to basically like both flash for showers and flash for B long info was so important. I thought Com actually played that well, to be honest. I actually think that the comp helped Leviatán a lot on Bind. I'm not really sure exactly tactically if NRG prepared for this or like how they've dealt with this in the past, but it looked like that information allowed Leviatán to basically stack sites, and it just like was kind of easy at that point. So I don't really know what the prep was going into it, but I'm like so curious to know sort of like how they have fared against Skies. Because like that's why we still have ban on Sky, because even though she's nerfed, bro, it's like she's still so good on that map despite the nerf.
And the heal is good too.
So,
I'm a big fan of the heal on this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the heal on pistol round is absolutely absurd.
Yeah. And yeah, Lev did a lot of. Again, it was just the name of the game was just reclearing space, like off of timing that they knew that they had, like whether that was U-Haul, whether that was shower, long B. I feel like a lot of the times too, they were actually outplaying Ethan's dagger on purpose. Like they kind of like had an idea of where it would be, and sometimes they would get hit on purpose. Yeah, sometimes they get hit on purpose to show like a similar thing, like make them think that they were there, but they're actually feinting it. So like like that's the thing with KO on certain maps, like other than Ascent, it's like, yeah, you get the info, but it's not actually guaranteed info. And like the enemy team can manipulate the fact that you hit them with a dagger too. So yeah, I actually,
for sure.
actually maybe we'll see NRG swap their comp or give it another run. Like I said, maybe they just had it off, just an off day, like multiple players. I don't know. Who knows, bro? Who knows?
Right.
There was a match today. I don't know if we spoke about it yet with G2 and Lev that actually went 3 maps. I kind of just want to briefly touch on it because we should move on to EMEA at this point. I feel like I feel like G2 could have beat them. I feel like Icy needs to step up for this team. I know he's a young kid.
He's young, yeah. So the only thing I did catch was Breeze on Yoru, because obviously we run it, so I like to see other people's takes on it or whatever. Yeah, it's tough, bro.
He's
tough.
He is struggling. He is struggling as this solo duelist role.
Right.
He looks great on Gecko on Icebox. He gets a lot of kills with utility and all this stuff, but when he's playing the main duelist, something is happening to where he's either choking on the stage or
He's young.
I think that's just it. Just is what it is.
In my
I gotta
opinion,
say
I
it for
think
what
it
it
would
is.
be easier. Yeah, it would be easier to just put Leaf back on Duelist and have him play Sentinel than it
On
would
Senti,
be.
right? I was literally thinking the exact same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
it might seem like kind of troll, but
No, it's not troll.
the temporary solution would be that until you can, you know.
It's what I would do because you don't have
I
any
agree.
things to lose and throw, and you need to make the best
Let
decisions.
me ask you a question, bro. And this is gonna be clickbait and controversial as hell. And I want to preface this by saying, yo, Icy, bro, you know I love you, bro. You know I love you. I actually believe in Icy. I've played against him in scrims. I know he can be a very good player, and I hope he can find a way to make it translate in the matches on that duelist role. But you're G2. You're getting rid of the net, right? You have two options.
Okay.
First option is Icy. Your second option is Taco. Who are you choosing, bro?
If I'm gonna be honest with you, Icy, because I've seen Taco.
All right.
And that's the problem. I've seen Taco at his best. I've seen Taco at his worst.
Would you think about it then?
No, not me.
Gotcha.
And you got to remember, I played against him, especially last year in FURIA, like a good bit, and even before that, when Jovi was on Fusion, I would help like Torify, like game plan against him and stuff. And there's a reason why I don't think he's at this level. But yeah, I see where you're going and I see what you're cooking. He has the experience that might make a difference.
Bro. I'm trolling, bro. I'm just having fun with it, you know.
No, okay, but I definitely think Leaf is the guy. I think if you really need, if
I agree with
Duelist
that.
is that hard, just swap Leaf in, teach the other guy Sentinel, and I'm sure he has a ton of odds of how Leaf is playing Sensi, so it should be really easy for him.
And you know what as well though, Icy actually has played a ton of Senti as well. Yeah, I know it's not in like the highest of levels, but he actually has experience on the role, so it makes sense. When you said that, I was like literally I was already thinking that because I was like, dude, it makes so much sense.
It's the best way to protect a young player. That's why. So that's why I put Jit there. I put Jit Boys there for that reason. It's the easiest way to protect younger players. But then it's like really hard to explain, but like you'd understand this because I try to talk to people about this a lot. Sentinel at the lowest level is like probably one of the easier roles to play, but at the highest level, it's one of the hardest to play. Meanwhile, Duelist at the lowest level is the hardest to play, but at the top level, it's actually the easiest to play when you're playing it at a high mastery level, because the game, when you're a duelist, the game is basically built around you. Everything is for you. Sentinel is the opposite.
Trying to enable you everything
at the highest level. Yes. Right. Like you're more like zone manipulation and like, making sure you have control or info of this, or you're giving a 0.5 trip to someone else. For those that don't know what a 0.5 trip is, if a Cypher gives you a trip and you're playing off of it, it's like having half a guy, 0.5, right? So there's every round you have to like do these things differently. Like if you think of Breeze, right? You have to watch Nest, but defend B. Then sometimes you have a player that's defending Nest, so you have to give your A guy a trip, or you got to trip mid doors, or you got to trip Nest, or you got to trip tunnel, and then you have to have like one retake cage this round because you might have to retake on A and you need to throw for the bomb. Why? Because your Viper's on the other side as the main anchor. So if she goes down, you need a way to be able to get the bomb to have, like all these things at the highest level, it's really hard. But if you think about it, a Sentinel's kit is like pretty dumb and easy to use. So you would think it's like easy. Like, no, it's really not. But like at the pro level, the best way to hide a young player and inexperienced player, which is what Team Secret did with NDG, is you just throw them on Sentinel. And at the highest level, you're going to get punished because really smart teams, really good teams, this guy's going to have to learn how to like actually be a defender and like actually do his job as a Sentinel.
Anchoring is hard.
Anchoring entry. For sure.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, entry is much harder at the top level than Sentinel. Sentinel was more like a game IQ game. That's why young players you're playing better teams, they're going to struggle, and you got to help them. But it's way harder to develop game IQ when you're a sentinel than when you're a duelist, because duelists have 0.5 seconds to react. Sentinels have 30 seconds to think about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So for younger players, it's easier to protect them that way. So that's why I would just make the transition, in my opinion.
That was very well
because
done.
I know you know too. Leaf is a guy.
Yeah, he's good. He's fucking good.
Yeah. So
he's him. All right. Well, we'll get rid of NAs for now, and we'll go to EMEA. And man, dude, so there wasn't a lot of matches for EMEA. There's only 6, including the ones from today. But the first one was crazy, and Turkish Valorant's taking over, bro, because BBL beat Team Heretics 2-0.
Dude,
now
I don't know what is going
keep in
on.
mind,
Gentlemen,
this is a Heretics.
Look good. I'm an idiot, bro. I was shitting on.
We'll get there. Yo, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that this Heretics that BBL beat, it was the one with Patty Tech. It's not the one with
Right.
with the GOAT Woot, who is also Turkish.
I know.
But dude, Kushner looked crazy on that Sunset. He dropped a 30, bro. I mean, the split was convincing, 13-7. Is this another thing? Is this a thing where you think Heretics was just ready to get Woot in, so it's kind of like a throwaway, or what were your thoughts about throwaway?
This? Well, I've heard a lot about Woot, so I'm excited to see how he progresses, because apparently he's a killer.
Bro, this guy today he was an absolute prospect. It was crazy.
Yeah.
You know who he reminds me of, bro?
Funny. What's up? Talk to me.
He reminds me of Donk from fucking from Counter-Strike, bro. It's like, wow, how they just randomly came in like a young kid.
Yeah.
Dude, if he can keep it up, I mean, because his debut was so strong that it reminded me of Donk.
Right.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so interesting. Well, I heard about Woot last year. I've heard about this kid from last year. I didn't hear about Keiko. So you know how Team Liquid picked up Keiko?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about Keiko until he became a pro, till he got picked up basically. And then I was like,
he joined the team.
You hear grumblings, but Woot I've been hearing about for a while, bro. So I'm surprised that it took this long. I don't know I don't know anything about him. So I don't know if it was people know there's a personality thing. Sometimes I can hinder you. Yeah. So, but I've been hearing about him for a while.
Legitimately too young to play in the league. That's the main.
Got it. Okay, this makes sense now.
But
I've been hearing about this kid for a while, so I'm super excited to see his progression for sure. But I told you last week, I did say the one thing I did say was that the Turkish scene is crazy. They have really top level players, but I just thought the top level players are on kind of one team. Might have been a misnomer, though. I might have been wrong about that.
That's what we thought. We thought they were all on foot, right?
Yeah. So it seems like BBL and Gentlemates have kind of turned it around. I thought BBL played really well. I haven't really studied it too much because I just briefly watched some of it, but
me too.
Sunset I thought was pretty nice. So I will definitely say I don't think Heretics is bad. I think it's just the leagues are so competitive and there's so much tape on the Madrid teams that, it's really hard. I would say this. I'm more surprised by NRG not stomping everybody because of the overall skill, in my opinion, gap that they have to everybody else than I am some of these other teams that went to Madrid like Sentinels, because there's so much game film of them not NRG. So I am very, I think, understanding of the highs and lows from KC or Heretics or Sentinels. I get it. Even Gen.G 3-2. I totally understand. Yep. So
I mean, Loud might.
I don't think
lose. they might lose this match against Drew even. So, it's
that's just tough. Yeah. It's super hard, man. But this is why you always want to, in my opinion, if you want to win a championship, you really want to play your best Valorant towards the end of the year, not the beginning. I think FNATIC was a good that last year also, right? So,
and you know who else is like that? Loud is like that. Loud has always been a team where it seems like okay, if we make it cool, you know, especially last year, if we make the events, like obviously every team wants to make every event,
right?
But
of course,
you see the real Loud in champs, bro. You see the real Loud in champs, and that's why last year nobody thought they were gonna make it that far, and then all of a sudden they're in the semifinal. You know what I mean? Like, put enough numbers.
It's
potentially if they won
FNATIC,
that semi, maybe they win.
Yeah,
who knows?
And I believe this. I believe this 100%. If FNATIC would have gotten past Loud, I think they would have beaten any of the teams in the finals.
There you go, right?
It is
it's like a game of match.
Lucky
Isn't that crazy?
that they run into Sadak, and Sadak just unlucky, bro.
Dude, it's so funny though. It's so funny though. It's so funny because it's so true. All right. We'll talk about the next Turkish team. They actually lost this match against Vitality, 2-1 Foot. It's so weird. It's like we keep saying, like, any team can beat anybody. I think it's really close in EMEA now. Apart from like Giant.X and Koi, every other team has like a very similar record. It's nuts. The only team that's undefeated right now is
I told you that. I told you that last week. I was like, bro,
it's crazy.
They're so tight, bro. EMEA is a bloodbath.
And even Giant.X, bro, like, their games are close. They're so close.
Yeah.
They even could have been like a couple wins
Red
too.
Guard,
you know?
right? Red Guard is just, you know, he's really smart and experienced, and you know, he can keep them in games. So yeah, it's EMEA it's by far the most competitive league, I think, top to bottom.
Yeah, the skill gap isn't that much. I would agree with that. Like I said, anybody can beat anybody, it feels like, right now in this game. Liquid beat Giant.X 2-1. That's again what I'm saying. It's like Giant.X, like, it's so close.
Right after, bro. Liquid, man, I feel bad. Rest in peace, bro. Rest in peace.
Before we get to that, because we'll save that for last. That's a good one. Yeah. Another stomp, FNATIC versus Koi. We don't really need to talk about it. I thought Koi almost took Bind away from FNATIC, but then Dirk decided to pick them, and he just went crazy. And then Icebox wasn't close. We don't got to talk about it. I got scared. I even made a tweet. I was like, bro, if FNATIC lose this series,
it's over for them.
I should just go something, bro.
Yeah, but we talked about this last week though. FNATIC is going to hit their stride, and then they're gonna gap people. I expect that team to gap people. It's just taken longer than any of us would have expected, and certainly that is a bad thing for and from them. They need to get that shit together because there's expectations on that team to win. They better win. Yeah,
I mean, okay, Vitality, like you were talking about, Vitality beats Foot, and then they lose the Gentlemates, who we had
this
some,
is what I mean.
We had some funny words about Gentlemates last week. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it makes me feel stupid because it just doesn't make sense. My predictions in NA and Pacific especially are pretty on point. For me in EMEA, it's just so troll. I don't understand. Yeah, I certainly wasn't sure that Gentlemates could put up this type of performance, but to me, this is a quality win for them. And
yeah, it was.
But the French players are known to be mechanically gifted. And to me, it didn't look like a tactical win. It just looked like they're just straight up mechanically better than these guys. And I was kind of surprised by that because a lot of it, like, it wasn't like clean icebox. It was more like, you know, icebox is an aim map. You know what that deal is, right? Like, that's why 100 Thieves, when I was there, struggled against you guys on icebox because, you know, aimers aim. So I think if Gentlemates gets the tactical side down more consistently, I think they could be a problem because they look like they can just shoot, bro. And yeah, man, it's just crazy.
I think
Like,
A big difference for me too was they weren't running a Phoenix every single map, you know, or it wasn't the maps that they run the Phoenix on. And I know that that guy plays a really good Phoenix, but the comps that
yeah,
they
but
played
6
are relatively.
Ultras is good, bro. Listen, you hate on Phoenix.
I get it. No, I don't hate on Phoenix. I hate on teams.
It is
gotta do too much, you know.
Oh, trust me. There's a comp we're gonna run on Talon, whether it's playoffs or this weekend. Who knows? You're gonna think I'm doing too much, but trust, brother. Phoenix is legit, bro. Trust, and I'll give that away. I am gonna run a Phoenix with that comp, but it gets nastier. I'm talking that comp is hot nasty. Like when we talk about it afterward, you're gonna be like, bro, what were you thinking? I'm gonna be like, listen, I'm either gonna look like a genius or an idiot, but I'm gonna have to explain myself for sure. Either way, 6 Old Doors is kind of OP, bro.
For me, I'm just happy that I got to see them win with like a semi-standard comp on both maps.
Right.
They still didn't play like the most standard stuff, but like their icebox comp, I mean, it's pretty like it's a pretty normal no duelist comp. Like it's like Gecko's really popular now. Sage has always been played. KJ's been played with Sage before. KO's been solid. Viper's always going to be good. Like that's like the Chamber comp pretty much that people used to run back in the day when Chamber meta, right? Instead of Gecko, you would have the Sova. Instead of KJ, you'd have the Chamber. Like that was a normal comp.
Right.
Sunset, again, kind of standard. Like people are running Gecko KO. They decided to run a Sage KO. It's like not too funky, you know. But I feel like some of the stuff they run at times, it could be too troll.
I think PRX does that actually. PRX does Sage KO, and bro, I got to tell you, it's hard to play against because, especially on B site, you could do the Cypher trip, the Unbreakable trip. That shit don't matter, bro. Yeah. They'll get hit with it, right? They'll have people posted up. So if you swing left side, they're fucked. Wall goes down, so you can't attack them from the right side. Someone gets hit with it, they break it, and they go, and it's just like, that shit is hard, bro. Listen, the PRX with that comp is hard to play with because you can't abuse them on entry anymore. Like, entry into the bomb site. So now they have like post plant positions on you. Oh, that is tough, bro. I mean, I know I like Sage. Yeah, that comp's not bad. I actually think that comp's pretty solid if you like have an idea as to what to do with it in other areas of the map. But
exactly, like you got to be like, when you run comps like that, you got to be like creative with it and like have a set game plan of how you want to do things for sure. I think Sage is underrated though. I think it's because a lot of people are playing like more standardized stuff now, and it kind of got out of the meta. But I think the cool thing about the teams that do run Sage is that you haven't played against it in so long that it's kind of hard to remember like even basic protocols against it. And I think that's also why Phoenix can be good too, is because I mean, dude, like if you are not used to playing against that Phoenix flash, that shit's gonna get you every time, bro. Like it's actually one of the most hardest. It's so hard to dodge a Phoenix flash.
I think you bring up a good point about the Sage fundamentals because actually Governor brought that up to me too, about that because, you know, we wanted to be prepared when we play GE on Icebox for Sage because they use Sage, and you know he was right because luckily we talked about it enough that, you know, it kind of helped. I mean, we still lost the map, but what's funny is I would not have brought this up if it were not for Governor saying, yo, we don't really play against Sage anymore. We should probably go over how to deal with this. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. But I honestly would, if he never brought that up, I would have skipped it because, you know, you just don't think about this stuff. Cause I'm like, all right, we should know what to do. We played Sage before. She was, you know, part of the meta for like 2 years. But it's like, when you haven't done it in a while, sometimes in a match, it can just catch you off guard. And before you know it, you lose 5 rounds and it's like, fuck, we're screwed.
Now, man, today's match. Heretics Liquid, Woots. First match in the league. 43% headshot rate, and he's a Phantom player, bro. 43% in the entire series, but he's a Phantom player. Dude, this guy is insane. I don't know. Maybe he just had one of the best debuts ever, and maybe he's gonna fall off after this, but I really hope he doesn't because, I mean,
No, I
if
heard he's
Heretics got,
nasty, bro.
dude, if Heretics got this far playing with a stand-in, because it's under my presumption that Wu has always been the person they were gonna play. I'm pretty sure he played
Right.
he played in the off-season tournaments too with them.
Yep.
This is scary, bro, because you're getting into a. I mean, it's an upgrade. Patatek played great, by the way. I don't want to act like he didn't play good. The guy made
100%. Yeah, for sure. And he's always getting the short end of the stick, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, I think Heretics, this was a masterclass in roster building. When everybody made fun of Gen.G Fishy, I always watch his streams.
And he's sick too. His mechanics are sick.
I always do. Yeah. I think this team is going to be a force. I think if their macro is as good as their micro, I think this is probably a championship level team. Woot was definitely scary. And I mean, again, to me, I feel bad because it just feels like Liquid is just so erratic, and I don't understand why there's so many highs and lows with this team. I think this team should be, in theory, better, but at the end of the day, I mean, you are what your record says you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very impressed by Heretics for sure, without question. Boo and Mini Boo continue to impress me as well. I think this roster is. I think FNATIC is still probably number one. I think this roster to me is probably number two. I think KC is like very close, probably still number three. I think that would be my breakdown of what my expectations are going into playoffs.
That's pretty fair. I would say that they're the top three. Well, no, we're forgetting about Navi, bro. We're forgetting about Navi.
No.
Navi's sick.
Navi's too inconsistent, bro. Navi's way too inconsistent. Bro, you know I love those guys.
They split, they're up 3-0 right now with Artist.
No.
So.
Yeah. But I'm talking about in playoffs, they're going to get sauced because the problem is they're winning. Their games are like one-on-ones. You remember old Sentinels with Shazam? That's them. Yeah. That's how they play.
Okay, I understand.
Which is cool. It's great. But the problem is, off day, you're screwed. This format is even worse because, we kind of already talked about it. And just look, bro, Team Liquid should have 2-0'd them. It took a collapse on defense with a Cypher on split, bro.
And two. Yeah, crazy.
They should have 2-0'd them. And instead, Navi comes back. And the point is, okay, we know Team Liquid's inconsistent. What if you go down like that much to like KC? You going to come back? What about FNATIC? They're going to let you come back?
Yeah.
That's my point. That's what I mean by like, nah, they're way too up and down, bro. Tactically, they're just not there. But individually, those guys could cook against anybody. But then we're going back to PRX because it's basically like if they have a bad day, they got nothing to fall back on. Unlucky. And that I think, Navi to me has the worst region for their play style. Because on a bad day, these boys are going to get punished. On a good day, they could beat anybody for sure. But I don't think this format suits them. So that's unlucky for them.
In other news, Crew just beat Loud.
That's unlucky, bro. Like, I don't know.
They're 4-0. Crew is 4-0 with Heat.
I know. Bro, I'm telling you, it was a great pickup. Like, everything is clicking on all cylinders, man. I didn't know Heat can speak Spanish. I wonder who can speak Portuguese. I didn't know that either. There. I'm so curious. Yeah, because you'd be surprised. Like, my experience at FURIA, I thought it would be easier for me, but there's only one person that really spoke Spanish, and that was Khalil. Everyone else is basically Brazilian only, and like their English is like 2 out of 10. So it's like kind of difficult. So, but yeah, they're just cooking, bro. I think Crew, they look good. I'm not willing to say, like, I know it's gonna sound weird, but like I think come playoffs, I don't think Crew's gonna look like this though.
Okay. You think the honeymoon phase will come to an end?
For sure, because less time to prepare.
Gotcha.
So the reason why macro teams are good and they're macro teams is because even on a short week, your macro is macro. Crew's not a macro team, right?
Yeah.
So like map control and, conditioning and blah, 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 blah. If it's not part of your DNA, when you have to play day to day, it basically becomes a PRX crapshoot, which is basically like, are you shooting that day? So I'm not really taking anything away, but like the coaching staff won't have the ability to anti-strat as deeply and blah, 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 blah. Like it comes down to fundamentals at that point, and that becomes a big problem.
For sure.
So.
And for the last region of today, we'll go to where you're currently playing in Pacific. I'm just going to breeze through some of the matches that we don't really need to talk about much. Global versus PRX, 2-0. I mean, stomping.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to put any input on towards it, or we can just move past it. This is another one for me. Actually, I'll save that one. But Gen.G Zeta. Ascent was close. OT.
Sure.
But, I mean, nothing too crazy there. We expected them to win. And then you get kind of weird. And I want to start with this one just because it caught me off guard. Because I'm kind of high on RRQ, but Global beat RRQ 2-0.
Yeah.
What's going on with RRQ? Tell me, what's going on with RRQ?
Inconsistent for sure, but they did play with a stand-in because one of their players got sick on the main roster. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. So they're playing with a stand-in this match. And it was like a perfect recipe. The thing is, and I'll say this with as much respect as possible, we're running a 6-man roster. So whether it's Lenny or Surf, even if I added Boy in there, we should beat teams that we should beat. If you catch my drift.
You should beat Global. Yeah, you should beat Global. Yeah.
So if you want to win a championship, if you have aspirations of doing anything, you need to be able to beat teams even on a bad day. Certainly, we had a bad day against Global and they anti-shotted us, and Russ called it a magnificent game against us. We still beat them. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, good teams have to be able to beat teams if they don't play well, and good teams have to be able to put away teams they need to beat, or they should beat, right? So, on one end, I want to be like very understanding and have empathy for the fact that they play without a guy, but I'm getting clowned on for having a 6-man roster, and I'm telling you, I could put Boy in tomorrow and we'll still beat some of these teams. Right? So, in my opinion, this should not have happened. And I think this is not to say that GE is bad. It's just everyone is looking at certain teams saying you are it, right? RRQ is considered, around kickoff, they were considered one of the top teams here. Well, if you're a top team here, you got to put away not top teams.
Yep.
So I was just as surprised about this result with you.
Had they won that, they would have been 3-1 in their group. Your group.
Right. It would have been tied with us. It would have been tied with us.
Yeah. Tied with you and Paper Rex, which is, I mean, that's a devastating loss, though, because it kind of takes them, I mean, it
100%.
takes them further out of contention for being in playoffs, because they actually have Gen.G as their last game. Like that loss right there may have been the deciding factor of whether they make playoffs or not. And that's going to be brutal on them. And I hope they can bounce back from that.
Yeah, same. I mean, they play Gen.G well. The style there fits because every time they play Gen.G, it's close. So I think they do have a chance.
They have a chance.
Be upset. But ultimately, Gen.G is, Gen.G. So it's going to be tough no matter what.
Now, the time has finally come. Ye won his first match in 2 years, bro.
Brody.
Let's go.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go. And he didn't even need to carry. He didn't even need to carry or do anything crazy. He actually had more first deaths than first bloods. But dude, whatever. Like, they figured it out.
I was super happy for them. Super happy for them. Yeah, like they deserve it. I thought Zest played great. Zest has been super strong. Good pickup for them. He's a problem. I'm sure communication is a problem because he doesn't speak a lick of English, but he's a problem, bro.
He's talented. He's talented.
Very
I
good.
noticed that like I feel like one of Bleed's like best maps is that Ascent. That's why it's like goes through on every map, and it's definitely a map where like they have a way better understanding of how to enable Ye and how Ye should be able to play. And he's also on Jet, which is nice to see. I feel like every single time he's played Ascent, he's done really well for himself with this roster specifically, which is really good. And you know, I think him getting a win on that Raze role also probably feels really good because I mean he's got to get some confidence going into playing that character. It's not like they're gonna put him off of it, and he still does have time, right? Like if they can bring it together towards the end of the year, maybe he'll become a really good Raze. Like I'm not gonna put it against him. I know he's a really talented player and he can learn really well. So I hope that they end up going win streak.
Yeah. For sure. I'm excited. You know, they have a good chance to make playoffs now. So if they win out, so they need to do what they got to do.
Indeed, and I had another game that I guess I'll wait on that one. But this Gen.G DRX game, you were telling me last week about how Bane is the truth, and then I look at the stat line here, and he's at the top of the scoreboard. Dude, are
DRX so scary?
Did they figure it out? Are they like?
Bro. But this is why I was so mad at us for trolling during kickoff. We should have beat them. We actually should have beat them 2-0. It's like 9-9 both maps. Like we should have beat them. And now they're stronger, and it's like, God, bro, this team, they are the Pacific. I don't even want to hear it right now. That team is on one right now, and they look the best, and they feel the best. And man, playoffs is going to be tough if you run into them.
What is it about that player? Like, what is it about him that he just went to this team?
It's not that. It's not so much that it's like him over Flashback. It's that so he's experienced. He's been playing for much longer than Flashback in the pro scene. Not on like, you know, obviously like on DRX or anything, but like he's been playing longer. He's just more experienced. He just understands things at a macro level much better. They're already a good macro team. His mechanics are strong, so it's fine. But like, think of it this way: it's less stuff for Stacks to have to micro, and ultimately, that's what unlocks, you know, other people's potential, right? It's like when I don't have to baby you and I trust you, I get to like do more, right? And it's like that's the key right there. It's they're able to play faster now because they can, you know, Stacks doesn't have to micro as much. So
that's awesome.
They can play slow, they can play fast, they can play counters, they can bully you, they can brute force it, they can play map control. They can play zone control. They can just basically 1-3-1 if they want to and just say, okay, you can have the sides. We'll just fast rotate. Like, how do you want it? And it's just like, oh, I don't want it, bro. That's the problem. So unlucky, bro. Yeah, they're the guys. Trust. And if they make Shanghai, people are going to struggle, bro. I'm telling you right now. NA is going to struggle against this DRX, bro. I'm telling you, bro.
I hope they make it, honestly, because I've always liked watching DRX play. I've always been a fan of how they play, especially their macro game. I took a lot of things from that team and brought it over to my team when I was playing. Like that, especially in that Schmieg era, like when they were Vision Strikers even. I was a big fan of how they even just defaulted and when they would cut noise. I feel like they've always been a team that actually plays the game in a really nice way. And they had like some identity problems for a while once they became DRX and kind of got rid of RB. But if they're like popping off like this now, taking out Gen.G and stuff, bro, that's crazy. That's crazy.
They're good, bro.
Now we'll talk about your match against T1, which is a big W for you guys because that puts you in a really good spot for playoffs.
Yep.
Especially because your last match is going to be against Team Secret, who we'll talk about right after this. But you had a pretty relatively close series in general. I watched it over, and it was close. It was like another one of those where it was like just anybody could have won. It felt like your guys ended up clutching up though, big time. Like that first map, Jip Boys, and I know Cruz wasn't like I know Cruz wasn't positive, but just from my end, and obviously like you're the coach, so you're gonna have a lot of input. But from when I was watching, Jip Boys had a crazy first map. And Cruz, although he didn't top frag, he went -1. I feel like Cruz had a lot of really impactful kills, actually, like along with Jit Boys. Like it all happened together. It felt like they kind of set the pace for your team and allowed you guys to be in the spot where you could actually close out the map. So I was really, really impressed with both of them stepping up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of expected this. So they talk in their pregame. So there's like scrum interviews that they do. And they basically said, well, if we stop Governor and Ban, like you stop Talon pretty much. And I found that amusing because Jit Boys is our best player. So I was like, oh, okay, sure. So basically, we just adjusted a small game plan, which is he's always going to be the third man, which, as you see, worked because the amount of times he basically killed 2 or 3 people because, you know, Neon is like in their face. They're going to try to kill Peter because that's the game plan, right? It's like to stop the Neon. Yeah. And then I also knew I had the IGL advantage because Cruz is, in my opinion, probably the second best IGL right now in APAC, especially at a macro level. If you look at our games, we're pretty much always in control of macro. Are we hitting shots? Are we making mistakes? Sure, fine. But in terms of like macro wins, I think it's only stacks above us, honestly. Round to round when you study games. So yeah, I think we had those advantages. What you're gonna like though is how I played this. So obviously everyone's been anti-stratting our Lotus. So, you know, RQ's coach, like, bro, there's so many coaches and players talking about like, you know, watching how Talon did this and blah, blah, blah. They're actually saying it publicly, right? Owners and, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. People have been anti-stratting us a lot, right? And Gen.G banned like all of our stuff instead of their weak stuff, which Ban told me was like not going to happen. He's like, bro, they don't care about us, bro. They're not worried about us, bro. And then I go to the pick bans and I make a mistake because we play Ascent instead of Icebox. I'm thinking, oh, Icebox is going to be available because, you know, they're decent on it. And like, they don't care about us. They're going to take away, like, I think it was like a Split or something. I don't remember now. But no, they banned it immediately. And I'm like, wait a minute. What?
That didn't go.
I kind of troll. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I kind of troll because I'm thinking like, wait, I thought people don't care about us. I thought they were going to, what? So now I'm thinking, wait. Right. So now I'm realizing people are anti-stratting us. And then the global match was a big kick in the ass because all they did was anti-strat us. That's all they did. They didn't have anything new for them. Like it was literally, they just anti-stratted us. That was all they were doing. And I realized very quickly, okay, if this is the game people are going to play, now I'm going to start doing what I'm known for doing. Right. So T1 played Zeta next. So you know what we did? We played Zeta's comp. Why? Because I think I have the best Neon in the world. So I'm like, oh, trust me. If they can do this, I got the guy. I haven't done it because I'm not trying to show that this early, but fuck it. If y'all want to play like this, let's do it. So DFM have to play T1 now. I just gave T1 the prep work to beat them because we just beat them with the comp. I know T1 is going to anti-strat us like everyone else is doing. So we run a new comp. They didn't expect it. We left that map available. We knew they were going to pick it. They picked it. And so now I get a 2-for-1 deal. I make Zeta's job harder to qualify for playoffs, which increases our stock. And I think that they're going to do. And I completely beat T1 to the punch because I'm sure they're studying Zeta also. Bro, they got like 4 coaches. Well, 5 coaches if you had the academy coach. They got like 5 coaches, bro.
Jeez.
Let's just say 4.
Wait, what?
Yes.
T1 is 5 coaches.
You know I don't have that coaching staff. It's just me. So I'm just like, all right, bro, I got you, homie. So
bro, how is this team?
They probably have one coach studying
1 and 4.
Their next matchup, right? Like forecasting a week ahead. How do I know this?
Yeah.
I did this on 100 Thieves with Jovi, right? Shout out to Jovi, the homie, right? So I'm thinking, okay, they're probably going to do. Yeah, right. I love Jovi. So they're probably going to study this. But you know what they haven't done? Installed it. They haven't installed it yet. So I'm going to beat them a week early, right? Obviously, we did that. Then Zeta is going to be screwed because not only were we running, by the way, we were running their stuff. We were running some of their defaults. We ran some of their executions. Like, I literally just said, okay, because we're going to do
way, bro.
So now they have an idea. So now
You're diabolical,
T1 is
bro.
gonna do our
You're
homework.
diabolical, bro.
No, this is just experience.
You're an
'cause
evil villain right now. You understand that?
Nah, bro. Shout out to Blade. 8 majors in CS, bro. Like, we just know what to do because we just know what to do. Like, you know, bro, this isn't my first rodeo. I've been doing this for a while. So
Dude, that's
T1 is
crazy,
gonna
though.
they're gonna beat Zeta this week, right? Because of exactly what I just told you. Like, now they know like how to play it on their map or whatever. So it's kind of funny. Like, yeah, so that's basically what we did was they think they have to stop Peter and Ban. By the way, they were doing really funny stuff too. They were double dogging for Ban on Chamber. They would literally use Fade Prowler twice to clear Chamber. They'd have no util for the post plants. That's why our retakes were good. Because, or not, that's not why it was good, but that's what made it easier is, bro, they're util dumping Ban. Obviously, he didn't have a great series, but the point was, him and Peter were told before, guys, this is not your series. We literally, the whole week of prep was basically like, so you know, you guys are screwed, but especially Peter, you're going to be food. You're going to be fodder, right? So he was like 1 in 8 or something first deaths. But what people don't realize is it's true first deaths because pretty much every kill was traded. But like this was what we expected, right? Like, so it was kind of good because, you know, it showed Ban especially that we don't need to win with him being a hero without a cape. Because one of my criticisms of Ban lately, like over the last month, has been like sometimes when things aren't working, he just thinks he's Superman and he just tries to like win the game by himself. And it's just like, dude, I get it. You might be able to do that and you might be able to squeeze a win out here and there for us. But ultimately, though, we need to be able to stand on business and be able to like win with macro and like be able to retake when we need to and be able to do the simple things. You taking a 50-50 that might be a bad gamble will now turn around that's winnable into like a 4v5 that could be unwinnable depending on like other situations. So it's like, dude, just chill. This match was like perfect because it came at a time where now he realizes like, dude, I don't even have to be part of the game plan. Like I could be bait and Jip Boy's got me, Surf has me, you know, Cruz got me, like Lenny has me. Like, and I think for him, this is probably, you know, an experience he didn't have last year at T1. So it was like perfect that like the T1 game was actually like in some weird way the Ban game because it now shows him like, look, dude, like this is different than last year. Like trust the process. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm using you as bait and look, we can 2-0 a team that you really want to beat and you don't have to be the focal point of that, which in his mind, and I'm sure you can respect this as like a duelist, that's like total opposite of what you want to hear and think, especially when you're trying to beat this team, right? Like he wants nothing more than to beat this team and he wants to be the guy. And my whole week was like, you're not going to be the guy. You and Peter are not going to be the reason we win this. Trust me. And, you know, I largely have to thank the fact that they openly admitted that they're going to try to shut them down. So it was like pretty easy to be like, oh, nice.
You could cement it even more with proof and show them, T1's game plan is this. They even said it out loud. No, but as a duelist, it is nice. Like, obviously, you want to be on top all the time because it gives you confidence to do even more shit, you know? But it is nice to know that no matter what, your team has your back and they can step up. For a while on FaZe, when we were doing the remake, it kind of did feel like it was a one-man army for a little bit. But then JDM kept instilling in me, like, hey, it's like, don't keep going for like any like crazy overheats or anything like that. Don't feel like you're pressured to win. Try to win the rounds normally. But when you get into a match setting and you're feeling it and the moment comes, then you can do those plays where you go crazy. You know what I mean? And you're, you know, it's the right timing for it, right? So it is good to be humbled and understand that, my teammates are good too. You know, like I don't need to be a one-man army. And that can honestly relieve pressure off of you too, even when you are having those moments where you feel like you need to step up. Because you know that your team has gotten your back, you know, and now it's your time. Now you can do that, you know, if it's not going your way in that way. So that is good. How did Ban feel?
You know what's funny was, you know, I thought Ban was going to talk more shit because, like, you know, the whole week, you know me, I'm like, dude, when we win, I want you to talk your shit. So I made sure he was in every interview. But he was actually really polite and super nice and super gracious. Like he wasn't really like Yeah, I expected more venom. He didn't really have that, which I was kind of surprised by. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think he's just the type that basically like likes to prove things by being an example. So I think just winning was good enough for him because he knows like if they say something, he always has the hammer. But yeah, I was certainly expecting like NA to come out. But I got to tell you, it didn't come out. So I was kind of surprised by this. Actually, I was surprised by it. Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't know. Monkey.
Something I wanted to ask you about, especially on that first map too, is like you took 2 really early timeouts. So you took one, your first timeout at I think I'm assuming here your first timeout that you took was this 3-1, and it's because you didn't want it to slip away too much. But then the second timeout was more interesting to me, is that you actually had won the previous round, but you still decided to take a timeout even though you won the round. So like, what was up with the timeouts? What was up with the timeouts? Why'd you do the timeouts? What happened? I saw you yelling in this one. Yeah, this is the one I was watching. You were going in,
bro.
So what was going on?
Yeah. All right. So honestly, let's just play it, and then I'll explain it. But I was mega hot.
You guys have only done one thing I agree with, and that's talk about how they're changing their shit. But the thing that you guys misdiagnosed is how they're playing. So Chamber is basically having a +1 with them.
Yeah.
I think right now, team, you flatten out. You go 3-1-1 everywhere, and you have them play. By the way, you guys had the right read to disengage. Team, I need you and Jit to disengage quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Not this half-ass shit you're doing. You're going to go 3-1-1. You're going to let your ones look for fights if they can.
No, I wanted to disengage, but then he said we should have faked some pressure or ran back.
Well,
we should have just gone B.
It's too late. Yes. So just
My bad.
3-1-1. Let your ones look for fights. Decide who's going to. I don't even care if Lenny wants to ult as a fake, as a one man.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. Just go 3-1-1. Let the ones look for action. Jit, you can't be so fucking careless next time. With the fade eye, you saw it and you just took too long. Please. All right?
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go.
They pause. Oh, we paused.
I just wasted my whole fucking clip. Guys, I'm just going to say this one more time. If we lose, it's okay. Relax, please. We're supposed to be in a 3-1-1. We're supposed to be looking for ones. We definitely diagnosed that something was different. Thank you, Peter.
Yep.
I just want you guys to play.
Yeah.
Relax. Again, I'm going to repeat this. I hope you guys listen. Lenny, your ultimates are not to be used for entries. Your ultimates are to be used to either walk up the chamber or as a fake for info. Okay?
Yep.
No one is doing this. Please, guys. I do not have any more timeouts. You guys are on your own.
Yeah, just 3-1-1 this. I'm gonna wait front B. He's gonna peek front B against
you guys have felt their power. You realize you're better aimers than them, right?
Yep.
Please, just let loose. Let it fly. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys!
So basically, we go through all our pre-round checks, right? So I made this mistake before, especially the secret match, the second time we played the secret, where like you like make adjustments, you have like a game plan, and then you basically like just let the players do their thing, right? And I've learned over time with them that I kind of just need to keep reminding them of not only the game plan, but like basic stuff, right? Because it's just how it is. So young, sometimes some people are inexperienced, blah, 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 whatever. Well, my first timeout was like weird because first off, none of those timeouts I should have called in reality. Like if we, like, if everything was working correctly, I would not have needed to call those timeouts. But our pregame checks, the things that, like, I'll give you one example, right? And this is probably the only free thing I'm going to say. It's like, one of them is basically reminding them, like, dude, wherever you see fade, Chamber's going to be on the opposite side. Bro, we talked about this. So there's one round where, and this happened against Gen.G. Yeah, where Band basically hears 3 people on A doing an A fight. What are we supposed to do, bro? Tell me. Tell me. Tell me.
Go take control somewhere else, bro. Go take some control somewhere else, bro, and maybe re-clear if you want to. If that's part of it.
Now, Peter was afraid, let's say that they had an op and blah, 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 but like he's slow, right? So I'm like, guys, the first time out is basically me reiterating exactly what the game plan was and how we're missing these situations and how it needs to be cleaned up.
Timings and everything.
The second timeout was even deeper. It's like I'm beginning to see that this isn't like a game plan problem. This is like players are not confident about hitting the next step, right? So a small example to that is maybe a Neon player is thinking that he's dying and he doesn't want to go in because he keeps dying, but not realizing maybe that he's getting traded every time and that it's opening up stuff for us, right? Right. So this is like that timeout was specifically not about Peter, but like I'm just giving you an example of sort of like some of the things I have to say. And then I started realizing that they're reacting to us the way that they would react towards them. So for instance, Gecko. Whenever you hear Gecko, normally that's the main hit. Why? The bomb's going to be there. Why? Because you use Little Bro to plant bomb. Yeah. So that second time out was a reminder for Lenny, hey, I need you now to be deceptive. Now you're the deception, right? So I told him to do stuff in that. And then they started biting off the Gecko. So like we string 4 rounds in a row. But the problem is now I don't have a timeout for the second half. And this became a real problem. And
I think it's like coming
these
back.
are things we need to correct and get better on. But it's sort of like, you know, I challenged them this week because I need them to be able to do this stuff without me.
Pausing
because
it. And
I know we're smart. I know the problem with being a macro team is there's an almost endless, unlimited amount of possibilities. And sometimes you can struggle with inaction because you have so many actions at your disposal. And ultimately, I just need us to be better at figuring out not only win conditions, but sort of like ways to take advantage of like personnel, right? Like, you know, and they were clearly biting on certain things. We need to be able to catch that. I just didn't want to fucking lose. So I basically said, fuck it. I'm going to burn my second time out here. You mother flowers, blah, 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 blah.
Mother flowers.
You heard something. Yeah, bro, I was so hot, bro. Bro, even after we won this map, I was pissed. Was I hot. But on Bind, it was different. On Bind, I was pretty happy because everything clicked and gelled. And more importantly, they made the adjustments with their ults and their abilities like by themselves. Like if you notice the last map of the game, Lenny gets a 4K with his ult. He hits 4 people with his ult.
Dude, I wanted to talk about that. That was so insane. I was going to talk about that. I was like, dude, that might be the first time I've seen a Gecko ult hit more than like 2 people. It was right. The best.
But why did it work? Because we masked the A fight. He hard rotated early over, knowing what their reactions going to be because of what we conditioned the whole game. He gets there on time. He ults on first contact and then bans at the door. Bans B, right? But this is Lenny's reaction to, okay, I've been faking with my ult. I've been doing super things with my ult. Now I'm going to hit you in the face with this on real time, right? And it's almost like that was Lenny's reaction. That was obviously Cruz's call, but this is Lenny's ability to quickly react to the information that Cruz gave him. He completely makes it on the other side and hits it. Whereas earlier in the half, when I called the 2 timeouts, we're fucking slow as shit, like not trusting what the game is telling us, right? You know what I mean? Like, but by the end of the game, we didn't have that problem. And then on way overthinking it. And that's why I had to burn 2 timeouts. I'm over here like, yo, what are we doing? So, yeah. And then on Bind, that was completely out of the question. They didn't do any of that stuff. Everything was fine on Bind. But like, you could tell that.
Yeah, the Bind game, I like that Bind match.
Yeah. So that's basically what happened on that timeout. Everybody, bro, the castles were cooking me too. Like, what are they doing? Why are they calling both their timeouts in 1 half? I was like, yeah, I know, man.
Gotta do what you gotta do, bro. You won the map.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it certainly is not how I drew it up, but unlucky, bro. So.
And then we can touch on map 2 a little bit. You subbed in Surf for Lenny, I believe, and Surf had a crazy game too. So I mean, it's really cool that you have like a 6-man roster and it's actually working. And I hope that there's some teams that can take inspiration from this and realize that it is a thing that can actually work, and that there are people that are maybe just better at certain agents than others, and you can use them to your
but there's so much ego involved because players have this like crazy. So it's like managing the egos and relationships has been
especially in this game, or like Counter-Strike.
Yeah, for Surf it sucks because he's a Thai player that has always been a duelist, and he's been to majors before, and he's like beating Ye, and so like he has this like but like that's not what we need. And then it becomes, well, then if you think you're better than Governor, then why is Governor here? And then it's just like, so you have to like have these conversations that are kind of tough, and it was like, well, if you want to play, you need to play these characters, because Lenny and Cruz playing together means Ban plays more functional roles, but Surf coming in means I can move Ban anywhere.
Yeah, so, and he's flexible. He's very flexible. Probably one of the most flexible players I've seen so far that can play at a high level.
Right, and that to me is sort of, I think, where his real value for me comes in, because dude, I have him on a different agent every map. I have him on a different role across all the maps. So he's even playing duelist on a comp.
Yeah.
Right, like I haven't had flexibility like that ever in this game, but I've always valued that from CS. I always valued that way more than anything else. Like if you can be an A anchor, B rotate, like support, like I will highly choose you. That's one of the biggest reasons why like we picked Electronic over Hobbit way back in the day, was because we knew we can put Electronic anywhere if we needed to. And it's like, so having Ban is like super nice because of that.
Big dub. Huge win for you guys. Your next match, I think it's your last match, right? Is going to be a rematch for the 3rd time or 4th time or something like that against Team Secret. We don't really got to touch on much. We're running a little late right now, so I'll just talk about real quick. I'll just summarize what they did recently. They beat PRX. J Remy, my boy J Remy. Went crazy against PRX, 46-29-11. I didn't actually watch this game. I'm going to have to watch it over. You want to give your quick thoughts on the map or on the match, and then we'll just go beyond that.
I think
match played recently too, Detonation, whatever, it doesn't matter. This match matters.
Yeah, it's just a matchup problem. You know how that is. Sometimes your team just matches up well. Team Secret, their play style and everything matches up well with PRX. I don't believe they're better than PRX. So, but yeah, matchup problem. They are very strong against PRX. They need to have that same consistency when playing everyone else.
And you guys have to play them next. And I know we were talking a little bit. You had a little story that you wanted to tell me about some of the guys on Team Secret. You want to share that to everybody?
Yeah. So
gotta save the best for last.
Yeah, everyone is wondering why there's so much smoke now and why like I'm talking so much shit now. And it's because so first off, they told us to our face we're ugly MFers. Second, they called us loser esports because Talon in Filipino, he's basically loser. And we didn't know this. So we didn't know that these are things they're saying about us basically right to our faces when we're next to them. And they thought they were slick and cool. They literally
thought y'all were homies and shit.
Yes, it's like what they said to us, which is basically like, so we didn't know this. We were told afterwards by people that were around that can speak Filipino what they said to us. And me and Cruz especially were like, wait, what? Because we thought, like, especially me, I've always been very complimentary of those players publicly. If you listen,
weren't you their GM at some point?
Yeah, I'm always showing love. I felt like I've helped them a lot. Maybe they have a different opinion of me or like, whatever. Obviously, they don't like me and have never liked me if you're going to talk to me like that. Because this is what I told you. It's like, imagine me speaking in Spanish in front of you and I'm basically just saying I'm saying those same things to you, but then I'm smiling and shaking your hand and like, yo, what's up? How you doing? Like that to me.
I'm sure that happens to me in the barbershop all the time.
Yeah, but like you never expect that from homies, right? So I thought that was like kind of crazy. And it was just like, I also know some things on the inside about like, things, for instance, that happened last year. And like, it seems in character. It just sometimes is a little difficult when you think your relationship with someone or with people is different. And then you find out like the real. And it was like the way we found out the real was like that. And I was like, oh, so, me, I stand on business. I'm like, oh, if this is what the nature of our relationship is like, all good. So, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I'll say like a lot of other players on this team, we're kind of taken aback by that. We're kind of surprised by this. And so we're all like super motivated because what they did was absolutely disrespectful. And it shows a huge, huge lack of self-awareness that I think also translates in the server. Because I said this in the scrum interview, like we destroyed them. And then all they did was counter-strat us, basically copied DRX's strategy, right? Because we played basically back-to-back. We didn't have that much time to prepare. Our players basically said, yo, we got this. Don't worry about it. We don't even need to prep for them. Start prepping for playoffs. And one guy goes 4-19, the other one's like 5-20, and we almost win. We lost 13-10.
I remember, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like that just shows self-awareness that you think like all of a sudden just because you beat PRX, which is a way different team, that you're just gonna like come up and like smash us. But then when you think about what they said about us to our faces and how ugly we were, it's just like, oh yeah, this team is just they're just not self-aware. And forget the disrespect, forget all that stuff. That's personal. Yeah. But like, yeah, we are very excited for this following matchup for sure.
I can't wait for it. I'll give my little 2 cents. I feel like it's one thing to talk about server and gameplay, and it's another to bring aspects of personal life to it. I feel like in gaming, I don't think there's a world in which we should be judging somebody by how they appear and try to relate that to gameplay. I feel like that's just so stupid. Like I think it's so dumb.
For sure. And then they're like making fun of the org name and like the org in our faces, calling us loser esports and stuff. It's just like, dude.
If you're gonna talk smack about the gameplay, you know what I mean? Don't bring looks into it. It's pointless. We're all gamers, bro. We're not actors. Right. We're not supposed to be the best looking people in the world, bro. We're just normal people that enjoy the love of playing video games at a high level. And the fact that we are here and we all get paid to do these things, it's honestly a blessing. Like there's people that have to do way worse. They're off way worse than we are. And all we are doing is playing some games, So it's, I think people need a reality check, like you said. I think, look in the mirror and
I think a reality would be, if it was just in server stuff, I mean, it is what it is. Nobody cares. Like you still have to compete, so you got to do what you got to do. I think for me, I'll speak on me personally. It just goes back to you think you have a good enough relationship with people. They smile to your face. They say what's up, bro. When we beat them, I went up to all of them and basically like encouraged them and said, look, this is still, the group's not over, blah, blah, blah. Even their ownership, which I'm so cool with, which I got no smoke for the ownership or the org. This is not about that. This is about me and these 7 people actually, right? We lost to them. I was just as gracious. Went up to all of them, said, congratulations, good job, good luck in the Swiss system, good, we lost. I didn't like not shake their hands. I didn't like pout and go home. Nope. I went up to my boys and said, yo, good shit. Congratulations. Yeah. To find out that they're like saying these things to my face when I can't understand their language. At the same time, all of this is happening to me is like, that's a bro code that they broke that like, I just don't have respect for and I'm never going to have respect for. Right. So that's kind of what made that sort of thing this spicy. Is that like we were so nice to them even after they beat us. It wasn't like, how some of you guys, especially in NA, people get mad salty. They don't even shake your hand after they lose.
Yeah.
Bro, that was not the case with us, bro. We were all like, we went up to them first. And by the way, I'm not talking about like when Riot makes you do that. I'm talking about backstage.
Like backstage and stuff. Like,
we
up,
did it again.
And everything. Yeah. It's like a respect thing. Is what it is. It's a respect thing. Even the teams that have no wins, like you're still gonna shake their hand and give them props and hope that they get it.
Yeah, but like a huge difference is when we play GE, for instance, this is like no disrespect to GE at all. but this is just meant to like emphasize we didn't do that to them, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, because we thought
Because
those
you
are
thought
our
you were
homies, win
homies
or
with Secret.
lose.
Yeah, you
These are our guys. Yeah, that's why this is so wild to me, because
more.
that happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right,
Homies, no
so
more.
hell nah, So good luck. If we meet again, good luck in playoffs, because this is one all of us here want. So, and that's not like, we don't take that one lightly. If you think that the gymnastics we pulled against T1 is indicative of like what's to come, y'all have no idea, because we didn't really have we didn't have this motivation against any other team we played.
Yeah.
We were just trying to win. So
yep. Dude, perfect note to end on. Thank you all for watching Spike Talk episode 3. A little bit of a long one, but we had a lot of crazy stuff going on. There was also Super Week for NA, so there was like a million NA matches. They're still going on.
So many games.
You know, it's so many games happening. So, you know, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.